What's going on, guys? It's Ramon Lomeli. Hope you're doing good. Welcome to yet another episode of the Moving to Winston-Salem channel. In today's episode, we're going to talk about pros and cons of living in Winston-Salem. Let's get into it. Glad you stuck around past the intro. My name is Ramon. I'm a real estate agent and I'm the team leader of the Smart Move Group brokered by eXp Realty in Winston-Salem and surrounding areas. And I did some research so you don't have to. Oh, don't forget to like and subscribe. I really appreciate it when you guys do that. It lets me know that I'm doing a good job and it lets me know that you guys want to keep seeing more of these kinds of videos. And by the way, drop some video suggestions down below of what you want to see relating to the Winston-Salem or the surrounding areas, and I'll be happy to make more of these videos for you guys. All right, guys, let's get right into it. I'm going to start you guys off with my favorite pro of living in Winston-Salem. This comes from living in Southern California for part of my life. The traffic, or I should say the lack of traffic here in Winston-Salem. You can basically go anywhere in the city and you're gonna, sure, you'll stop for a stoplight, or if there's a wreck you might have to slow down, but it never becomes a real full-fledged 5 o'clock parking lot style gridlock traffic. You never really see that out here. Of course, there's exceptions. If there's a big wreck, if there's a lot of construction going on, or the wind comes and knocks a tree down, you might have to actually stop. But by and large, smooth sailing. I never really have to wonder if I'm going to be late because of traffic in this area, just because it's not really a big factor. All right, guys, moving right along, we're going to talk about the first con, and this is kind of brought to light by some of my friends from up north. And one of the things that they were surprised by Winston-Salem is that you really need a car. You can't really get around the area without owning a vehicle. I mean, obviously there's Uber and other ride-sharing type services, but you can't really, unless you live downtown Winston-Salem or certain neighborhoods, you're not going to be able to walk to the grocery store or to pick up the kids or to go to the doctor. Everything is not right there in one place. So it's not a very walkable city. You do need a vehicle. I live in the outskirts of Winston-Salem. So for me to get to the office in the middle of Winston-Salem is about a 15-20 minute commute. Luckily, not much traffic. However, if I didn't have a vehicle, I wouldn't be able to do what I do. All right, guys, so my next pro about living in Winston-Salem is definitely going to be the weather. We're fortunate here in Winston-Salem that we don't really have a lot of extreme temperature. We don't have a lot of extreme heat or extreme cold. We're kind of in the middle. Obviously, the summer gets hot. In fact, here I am the end of August of 2021, and it is currently, let's see if that'll focus, 91 degrees, which is definitely a little bit on the hotter side. However, it's not going to get into the triple digits. In fact, I can't remember the last time it was over 100 degrees. And if it does get that hot, there's always a rainstorm or a shower coming our way to cool us off a little bit. In the winter, we'll get snow once or twice a year, and I'll put some links down below in the comments so you can see the weather data for over the years here in Winston-Salem, but we never really get more than a few days of snow, maybe once or twice a year. Usually February of the year is when we see some snow. It'll stay on the ground for a day or two and then back to normal life. Ice storms are a thing that happen every now and then as well. Not very common, just kind of be careful when you drive when that happens. But overall, I love North Carolina weather, especially Winston-Salem weather, and especially when you're talking about noticing the seasons. In Southern California, once again, over there it's spring, summer all the time. Here, you get to see the spring, you get to see the summer, you get to see the beautiful fall and the fall colors. If you haven't been to North Carolina or Winston-Salem in the fall, please do yourself a favor and come check it out. All right, guys, segueing right off the weather, we're going to talk about another weather-related event, which is a con, and that's going to be the humidity in the summer in Winston-Salem, in North Carolina as a whole, but especially here in Winston-Salem. It's humid, it's hot, it's muggy. The air is so thick, sometimes it feels like it's hard to breathe if you're not used to it. You'll be walking around and you'll be breaking a sweat before you even know it. It is very humid. You do get used to it, I find, over the years, but definitely when you first move here, it's going to be kind of a miserable time in the summer because you got to get used to the humidity. So definitely something to consider. If you don't like humid temperatures, the summer is going to be tough here in Winston-Salem. All right, guys, now we got to talk about another pro, which is going to be the home prices in Winston-Salem. So according to Realtor.com, the average home price in the United States of America is $280,000. And last time I checked in Winston-Salem, once again, according to Realtor.com, the average home price is about $180,000. So $100,000 under the national average, which is amazing. I will say though, those prices are increasing definitely in our area, as I feel like they are all over the country. So they may not be exactly But hey, for $220, you still see homes listed that are 3-4 bedroom, 2-car garage, newer, in a neighborhood, fenced in yard. You still see some really nice homes for, low 200s, high 100s in this area. So home prices are definitely, especially compared to, the New Yorks, the Californias, the Floridas, the Colorados of America, where home prices are extremely high. And in fact, we're seeing a lot of people from all of those states come down here, and they still find our prices super cheap. That's one of the reasons for the large influx of people to North Carolina as a whole, is the home prices here, especially here in Winston-Salem. All right, guys, we're going to talk about another con, and this is kind of another weather-related item here in North Carolina. That's going to be pollen, and kind of allergies and pollen kind of go hand in hand here. But one of the cons of living in Winston-Salem is definitely going to be the amount of pollen in the air, and people that are sensitive to allergies definitely have a harder time getting acclimated to Winston-Salem. You're going to be on Zyrtex or any kind of allergy pills because it gets pretty bad. When I first moved here from Southern California, it didn't really bother me, but as I got older, for some reason, I have to take a Zyrtec in the springtime, and you'll go out to your car in the spring and you'll see a haze of yellowish, greenish dust all over your vehicle. Yeah, that's pollen. It's almost comical. You could write "wash me" on your vehicle because the pollen is so thick. It's pretty bad. There are certain trees that emit more pollen than others, so definitely, if you know about that, you know where to park your car, where not to park your car. However, definitely a lot of car washes if you're going to be living in Winston-Salem, especially in the springtime. And if you have allergies, you might want to reconsider or buy a Costco-sized Zyrtec or any allergy medicine so that you're ready for the allergy season. All right, guys, moving right along, we're going to talk about the people of Winston-Salem. This is another pro, I believe, in my experience. And obviously, there are exceptions to every rule, right? You might get into a road rage incident with someone, but barring anything like that, generally speaking, the people of Winston-Salem have showed me that they are still kind of, a little bit of that southern charm, very nice, very helpful. You can stop and ask for directions. People are just courteous and polite and nice, and really, really nice people. So I definitely enjoy that. Other places I've been or I've lived, people are more standoffish when you approach them, or things of that nature. All right, guys, so moving right along, we're going to talk about another con, which is going to be the fact that Winston-Salem is still a small city. Even though it has its great benefits, we don't have any, large airport, large international airport. We don't have any large any large professional sporting teams. We don't have any theme parks. We don't have anything of that nature. So you're gonna have to travel to Greensboro or to Raleigh or to Charlotte to get some of those amenities. But by and large, we still are a great little city. We have a vibrant, growing nightlife. There's breweries and things popping up all over the place. So even though we're not a huge city, we do have some minor league sports, a lot of college sports, but we don't have a ton of, major league professional sports, and no international airport, no theme parks, things of that nature. So even though we don't have any major theme parks or things like that, one thing that we do have, and this is going to be the next pro on our list, is our geography. We're located really well placed kind of between the beach and the mountains. So it's fantastic. In a matter of hours, you can take a day trip to Myrtle Beach or any of the other beaches along the coast, or be in the mountains, hiking, being in nature, camping, doing trails, things of that nature. There's a lot of outdoor activities as well, whether you like fishing, boating, hunting, things of that nature. There's tons of that around here. So, even though we don't have some major amenities that some major cities have, we do have the convenience of being a couple hours from the mountains, a couple hours from the beach, and I think that works well for us. All right, guys, that's going to bring us to our next con of living here in Winston-Salem, which is going to be construction. There's construction everywhere, but there's constantly roads being expanded. There's new housing developments being thrown up in every corner that you can think of. There's new businesses being built, and generally I think that's a good thing. The only thing I do kind of regret is that it kind of takes away from the scenic beauty of Winston-Salem and our surrounding area. You'll see a place that was a cornfield for decades and decades, if not longer, and now there's a housing development there. Now there's a new business there. Now it's a parking lot for something, and which kind of hurts your soul a little bit. But the fact that there's a lot of construction going on, it just seems like nothing is complete. I feel like that's kind of a con because it takes away from the beauty, adds maybe some traffic, and it feels like our area is just exploding. So that's one of the cons I would say. There's construction, ongoing construction left and right, almost everywhere you look. And that kind of leads me into the next pro, which is we're constantly seeing new businesses, new restaurants, new wineries, new food trucks, places to see, things to do all the time. So there's constantly a new restaurant being announced, a new brewery popping up, a new food truck, a food truck festival. There's all kinds of festivals around here. So if you like being outdoors, kind of fairgrounds style, there's festivals going on throughout the year as well. So I definitely enjoy that part of Winston-Salem, that it seems like every now and then you have another restaurant to try, another business coming to town, another, things of that nature. So the city seems to be constantly growing, which is a pro in my book. All right, guys, that leads me to the next con that we're going to talk about today, which is going to be the Winston-Salem real estate market. Very competitive in one word. If you're thinking about moving to the area, I think it's a great area and I think you should do it. However, be prepared, because there's a lot of people with that same mentality that are moving here to the area, and that's causing us to see 10 to 15, maybe 20 offers per home that hits the market in certain price ranges. And people are, pulling out the stops to make sure that they are getting these houses. So it's very competitive. So just be ready to make some competitive offers if you're thinking about moving to Winston-Salem. All right, guys, and that's gonna roll me into the next pro of living in Winston-Salem, and I kind of touched on it a little bit, but I'm gonna go a little bit more into detail here. And that's gonna be the kind of adult scene. Not maybe adult scene is the wrong way to put it, but what I mean by that is there's breweries all around, there's a lot of bars, there's a lot of nightlife in Winston-Salem, and there seems to be new bars opening pretty frequently, and that's, if you want to go have a beer after work or on the weekends, you're definitely going to have a myriad of places to go check out around here. There's also a lot of wineries around, so you can be in 20 minutes in any direction, there's going to be a winery, which is fantastic. So if you're into more of the nightlife, more into the wine culture, the brewery culture, I definitely recommend Winston-Salem, as we are getting more and more known for that kind of thing, wineries and breweries. All right, guys, that's gonna bring me to the final con of living here in Winston-Salem, and that's gonna be mosquitoes, snapping turtles, deer, snakes, coyotes, and other kinds of wildlife. Now, if you live in the city limits, you're probably not gonna have to deal too much with these animals. However, if you travel outside the city limits in a more rural setting, you're definitely going to run into a snake every now and then. You're going to run into a snapping turtle. If you're by the lakes or ponds or rivers, you're definitely going to run into a snapping turtle or two. And if you don't know what an alligator snapping turtle looks like, look that up, Google that, and come back to this video. But alligator snapping turtles, when I discovered what they were, I was in shock. These things are dinosaurs living amongst us, and they are around us at all times. So check that out. You'll see them crossing the road sometimes. If you're outside of city limits, you'll see them crossing the road sometimes, and that's a sight to behold. But yeah, a lot of wildlife, a lot of mosquitoes, and if you're not used to, if you're coming from a city where you don't see that, like I said, inside the city limits, you probably don't have to worry about too much, but eventually you're gonna run into a snake, a raccoon, some deer, turtles, all kinds of wildlife. And when it gets humid and there's a kiddie pool in your backyard, you might run into some mosquito issues. So definitely keep that in mind if you're moving to Winston-Salem. And by the way, guys, I'm gonna put my contact info down below, so you can call me directly, you can shoot me an email. I'm also gonna leave a link down below so you can see what homes are selling for in this area. Thank you if you stuck around to the end. That concludes my list of pros and cons. And if you're from the area, definitely in the comments below, let me know what I missed, what I should have added, or if I should have elaborated on something a little bit further. Thank you for watching. To sum it up, I think Winston-Salem is a great city. I think that if you're okay with overcoming those cons that we went over, I think you'll have a great time here. I find in my experience that out-of-towners are moving here for a quieter, calmer life, a slower life, if you will. I hear that a lot, and those people usually end up outside of city limits. We do have a lot of people moving here because their kids are going to college, because we have a lot of great colleges around here. We do see a lot of people moving here because of the lower cost of living as a general. I did a video on the cost of living. Go to my channel, check that out if you haven't done so already. Oh, and if you guys have any questions about the area, more specifics, or you're looking for a list of homes in the area, or looking to talk to a realtor with experience in the area, definitely let me know. My contact info is going to be down below.